If you're waiting for a more affordable iPhone that still feels new-gen, the iPhone 18e is already shaping up to be one of the most interesting Apple releases on the roadmap. And according to early leaks and industry chatter, Apple may be changing its launch strategy in a big way, meaning the iPhone 18e could arrive alongside the standard iPhone 18 in a spring event, rather than the usual fall schedule. In this script, we're breaking down the biggest iPhone 18e rumors so far, the expected release date, potential price, A20 chip performance, camera setup, storage options, design changes like dynamic island, display refresh rate, battery expectations, iOS 27 features, and whether you should actually wait for it. Let's get into it. iPhone 18e. What to expect at a glance based on current leaks. Here are the headline upgrades and stays the same points for the iPhone 18e compared to the iPhone 17e. First, a new Apple A20 chip, likely the same non-Pro A20 used in the standard iPhone 18. Second, a familiar iPhone design with only minor refinements expected. Third, Dynamic Island could finally arrive on the E model, replacing the notch. Fourth, the display refresh rate is still rumored to stay at 60 Hz. And fifth, Apple's newer C2 modem is expected for connectivity improvements and efficiency. Now, none of this is official yet, these are early leaks, so treat everything as likely and expected, not confirmed. But the direction is pretty clear. Apple wants the iPhone 18e to feel modern, while still leaving enough premium features for the flagship models. iPhone 18e release date. When is it coming out? The most attention-grabbing rumor right now is Apple's potential new launch timeline for the iPhone 18 lineup. Instead of launching the entire lineup in September like usual, Apple is rumored to split the releases. The iPhone 18 Pro and iPhone 18 Pro Max could launch in the fall. Then the base iPhone 18 and the iPhone 18 could launch in spring 2027, so if you're searching iPhone 18 then release date, the best current answer is expected launch window, spring 2027. This actually makes sense for Apple's mid-range strategy. A spring launch gives Apple a fresh sales push during a quieter part of the year, and it also positions the iPhone 18e as the smart buy for people who don't want to pay Pro prices. iPhone 18e price, what could it cost? Here's the truth. No reliable iPhone 18e price leaks have landed yet, but we can make an educated guess based on the iPhone 17e's positioning. The iPhone 17e currently starts at $599 for 256GB of storage, which tells us Apple is serious about keeping the E model in a mid-range bracket. So what should you expect for iPhone 18e pricing? If Apple holds steady, it could start around $599 again. If component costs rise and Apple passes that along, it could creep higher, possibly $629 or $649, especially if Apple upgrades internal hardware or absorbs higher memory and chip costs. Another factor is what Apple does with iPhone 18 Pro pricing in the fall. If the Pro models get more expensive, Apple may keep the iPhone 18e more aggressively priced to maintain a clear value ladder. And when it comes to deals, expect the usual major discounts through trade-ins and carriers, Apple trade-in credits that reduce the upfront cost, carrier promos that offer the iPhone 18e for low monthly payments, sometimes even free with bill credits on eligible plans. iPhone 18e specs and performance, A20, chip plus C2 modem. Now, let's talk about what really matters for day-to-day use: speed, efficiency, and longevity. The iPhone 18e is expected to use Apple's A20 chip, built on a next-gen process that should significantly improve power efficiency and sustained performance. This likely won't be the A20 Pro. That should stay exclusive to the Pro lineup, but the standard A20 is still expected to be extremely fast. So what does that mean for real users? Faster app launches, smoother multitasking, better long-term iOS support performance, improved on-device AI features, depending on how Apple gates certain capabilities by RAM. Connectivity is also expected to improve thanks to Apple's C2 modem. Modem upgrades don't sound exciting, but they can make a real difference. More reliable signal handling, potentially improved battery efficiency on cellular, better performance in weak coverage areas, RAM and storage. What options could you get? According to current expectations, the iPhone 18e likely sticks to a practical mid-range approach. Storage is expected to remain 12GB, and that's important. Apple already removed 128GB on the iPhone 17e, and there's no strong sign it's coming back. In other words, the iPhone 18e may continue the no tiny storage strategy, which is actually great for people who keep phones for years. As for a 1TB option, don't count on it. Apple usually reserves 1TB for higher-end models. RAM is a bit more complicated. Some rumors suggest the iPhone 18 lineup might move up to 12GB RAM to support Apple Intelligence features. But realistically, the iPhone 18e may stay around 8GB to maintain product separation. iPhone 18e camera leaks. What's changing? So far, leaks haven't revealed major hardware changes for the iPhone 18e camera system, and that strongly suggests Apple may stick with a simple, proven setup. Expected iPhone 18e camera configuration 48 megapixel main wide, camera 12 megapixel front, selfie. Camera, in other words, we're likely seeing another single main camera system similar to the iPhone 17e focused on computational photography rather than multiple lenses, but don't mistake single camera for bad camera. With Apple's processing, a strong 48 megapixel sensor can still deliver sharp daytime shots. Great HDR solid portrait mode, improvements through software taught to 2x, optical quality zoom via sensor cropping, depending on how Apple implements it. So if you're hoping for an ultra-wide lens on the iPhone 18e, that's not the vibe the leaks are pointing to right now. Apple seems to be keeping the E model clean and simple. One main camera, refined processing iPhone 18e, design, dynamic island versus notch. This is the design question everyone keeps asking. Will the iPhone 18e finally get dynamic island? Right now, dynamic island is one of the most likely visible upgrades coming to the iPhone 18e. It was rumored previously for the iPhone 17e and didn't happen, but the iPhone 18e may be the moment Apple brings it down to the mid-range tier. Here's the catch. If the standard iPhone 18 adopts Dynamic Island, or a smaller, updated version, then the iPhone 18e is more likely to inherit the current Dynamic Island design. But if Apple keeps a notch on the standard iPhone 18 or introduces new differentiation, Apple could still hold back Dynamic Island and keep the notch on the iPhone 18e. So, the most realistic expectation is Dynamic Island is possible and increasingly likely, but not guaranteed. Beyond that, the overall body design is expected to remain familiar. Similar dimensions, a lightweight build, IP68, water and dust resistance. Scratch resistance improvements could continue, and MagSafe is expected to remain included, which matters a lot for accessories and charging. iPhone 18e display, still 60 Hz. If you're hoping Apple finally gives the iPhone 18e a 90 Hz or 120 Hz refresh rate, the current leaks aren't encouraging. Right now, the iPhone 18e is expected to keep a 6.1-inch display size, a 60 Hz refresh rate. This is likely intentional product segmentation. Apple tends to reserve higher refresh rates for more expensive models to keep the upgrade path clear. That said, Apple could still improve display quality in other ways, like brightness, color tuning, or power efficiency, but the headline number may stay 60 Hz. iPhone 18e battery life and charging battery. Upgrades on the iPhone 18e are expected to be more about efficiency than huge capacity increases. Apple isn't expected to jump to silicon carbon battery tech here, at least not yet, so don't expect a massive battery capacity leap. Instead, the iPhone 18e could deliver better real-world battery life through a more efficient A20 chip, the C2 modem improvement system-level optimizations, and iOS 27 charging expectations. Wired charging could remain around 20W on MagSafe, wireless charging could remain around 15W.